This is a story of two Ellens.
It's a welcome mat. For your Thank you.
The first is the Ellen that Hollywood wanted us to love. Actor, comedian, voice of the beloved Dory on Finding Nemo.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
The second is the Ellen DeGeneres we were told to hate.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is.
Allegations of workplace misconduct, racism.
Hassan Minaj.
No.
Yes.
No.
Hassan Minish.
No, that's not.
No.
And a swathe of bad press about the treatment of others.
She emailed the owner of the restaurant and complained about your chip nail polish.
Then there is the story of the Ellen that I know.
Wilson brothers Dalius and Julian.
10 years ago, myself and my brother Julian were guests on the Ellen Show. And for the first time, I wanted to go public with what I saw, felt, and experienced. Watch this video and at the end, make up your mind on who is the real Ellen. The rise of Ellen. Ellen began as a stand-up comedian in the 1980s. Her quick wit led her to become someone who Showtime called the funniest person in America. Ellen eventually landed her own sitcom, which lasted for 4 seasons, and both herself in real life and her character on the show came out as lesbian.
I'm gay. I'm a lesbian. I'm better with it now.
Ellen, the queen of television. In the early 2000s, it seemed like everything Ellen touched turned to gold. In 2003, Ellen began a daytime talk show called The Ellen DeGeneres Show. And within its first 3 seasons won a record 25 Daytime Emmy Awards. It was mainly known for its prizes, giveaways, and random acts of kindness. Her efforts to support the local communities affected by Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans skyrocketed her popularity. After all, she was from there herself. A year later, Ellen was asked to host the Academy Awards, being the first openly gay person to host the awards in the event's history.
Wanted to host the Academy Awards, and so it's a dream come true.
Before the decade ended, she was named as the global face of the famous CoverGirl cosmetics brand, and was even elected to be a judge on American Idol. The Ellen brand. With Ellen's profile growing internationally, Ellen transitioned from a famous person to a global brand. In 2013, Ellen became the most followed Instagram brand account, beating the likes of Nike, Victoria's Secret, and even Starbucks. In fact, advertisers were willing to pay as much as $2 million whenever Ellen was appearing on a show or hosting a show. Now let's break down Ellen's business empire, and to save us all time, I've done a little bit of maths behind the scenes, combined with some rough estimates. First of all, the Ellen Show made the majority of its revenue from advertising, which at its peak was earning well in excess of $540 million a year. Secondly, Ellen's retail brand. Seeing how well her advertisers could perform on her show, Ellen launched a clothing line in 2011, followed by a home goods brand in 2015, Ellen Digital Ventures. Ellen has launched a number of digital ventures, the most famous of which is the Heads Up game, which has had over 100 million downloads today. We expect earnings from this group to be between $20 and $30 million. So all up, we can conservatively guess that Ellen's combined business properties are almost worth $1 billion per annum. We'd assume that Ellen would be pocketing somewhere between 120 and 150 million in earnings each year. The downfall. Ellen had enjoyed almost 20 years as one of the biggest names in showbiz until a story broke in 2020 via BuzzFeed. The Ellen Show was accused of being a toxic workplace, with several staff members being accused of misconduct. After an investigation and numerous firings, Ellen finally delivered a public apology on her show.
I am so sorry for that.
A continual ratings decline followed, with the last season of the show hitting a very meager 3.3 million viewers, well below the 14.6 million viewers at the peak of the first season. The show was cancelled, with the final episode airing in May 2022. Since then, other stories have emerged about Ellen, mainly via Twitter, bringing her character into question. Ever since, Ellen has maintained a relatively low profile, and amongst that silence, I thought, now's really the right time for me to speak up and share the real Ellen I got to know. Where do I fit in? 10 years ago, I was sitting at my desk when my brother sent me a message which said Ellen was doing some form of event the next day at the Sydney Opera House.
Today, I sent out a tweet asking my followers to go to the Sydney Opera House with their passport. I'm going to fly one of you out there to the United States. That's why you have your passport with you. And you're each going to come up with your own song about why you should win the trip. And you're going to sing it in your best opera voice.
My brother made t-shirts and he packed an overnight bag for me, and we slept the night on the Opera House steps. We didn't get much sleep as the security guards kept moving us throughout the night, and the next morning we were spotted briefly by Ellen's team but disappeared amongst the crowd of thousands of fans.
I think we've got about 2,000 people here right now.
Wow.
And we lost all hope when a production assistant found us and said we had to make up a song about why we wanted to meet Ellen, and we only had 5 minutes to prepare.
Now we have brothers Julian and Dallas. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Ellen, we love you, and we will have lots of fun, because our journey together has only just begun.
When we went on live TV, my whole life changed from that moment on. It all seemed like a dream. The tiredness, the terrible singing, the craziness of the moment.
I don't have permission to get y'all here right now, but I am going to fly you here before I come to Australia in March. The two of you are going to come to the show. I want to meet y'all. You're amazing.
In the end, all of that evaporated, and what stuck was the wonderful bond between me and my brother in that unforgettable moment. The journey. On the plane to the States, we were treated like royalty. We had our own security guard and driver who took us all around LA for 2 days. We even stayed at the famous Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel and received $500 a day in spending money. We hadn't even met Ellen yet, and she was treating us this well. The day before we appeared on the show, we met some of the staff behind the scenes at the Ellen show. They showed genuine interest in us, our stories, and treated us superbly well, even though we weren't celebrities ourselves. Finally, our time came to meet Ellen. Here's what happened.
Please welcome the Wilson brothers, Dalius and Julian. Is it Dalius or Dallas?
Oh, Dallas, yeah.
Dallas and Julian.
That's right.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
And you are?
19, nearly 20.
Okay. Y'all are just fantastic. I loved your energy, and you were so charming. I had to get y'all here. So the time and attention to make t-shirts like that, I mean, that must have taken you... How long did you work on those?
Well, actually, Julian made the t-shirt, so I can't take credit for that. But the only mistake he made was the hearts aren't big enough for you, Ellen. I think you should have made those bigger.
And you got a lot of media attention, right?
Yeah, we got hit pretty hard, and there was lots of TV, news crews, and like radio stations wanting to talk to us, so it was pretty cool.
The one thing I did love was when we first went on TV, they put makeup on me for the first time. And for the guys out there watching, you should try it, because it brings out that natural radiance.
We have our next cover girl. So I'm going to Australia. I have some things that I want to know what these mean. What is that's nutta? What's that?
That's nutta means, like, that's amazing. So if something happens that just surprises you, you're like, that's nutta.
Oh, nutta. Yeah.
Nutta, like that.
Yeah.
That's nutta.
That's nutta.
And you have to do that too?
And get the hands in
Hey,
it.
nutta. All right. Are y'all that busy that you can't say? Why are y'all trying to shorten everything like that? It's just...
Oh, we've got places to be. We had to come and see you, Ellen.
Yeah.
So.
We'll be right back.
When we sat back down, I just couldn't even breathe. I was so excited by the moment and was equally excited to go back and see my family and friends back home in Australia to share what had happened. However, what happened next shocked me even more.
Hey, Julian and Dallas, come on back down. So, surprise. I want to talk to you some more because I know that the last couple of years have been a struggle for your family. I know that your dad was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I got something to cheer you up. I got you a couple of gifts. One gift. Andy, where are they? Because you can't wear those all the time. Also, one last thing. Our friends at Swiss Wellness heard about your story, and I know the bills are piling up, so they're giving your family $25,000.
I don't know how the team found out about my father's condition, but that single act of kindness changed our life forever. As you can see at the end of that clip, Ellen was genuinely amazing. She spent minutes after the show hugging and consoling us in that moment, and I felt a very genuine bond between us and her that's simply unforgettable. But despite all that, the journey wasn't over just quite yet. The aftermath. Within 24 hours of appearing on the show, we were being contacted by talent agencies, TV shows,
2 lucky Australian fans, the Wilson brothers,
Dallas and Julian Wilson,
and even other fans who were desperate to get Ellen's help for themselves or their families. It was truly overwhelming and something you can never be prepared for. What was even more special was that my brother and I were signed to become Warner Brothers talent. We featured in a number of other episodes, we were paid appearance fees, and we featured in advertisements for some of Australia's largest brands. Ellen's kindness allowed us to save our family from debt, and it really helped in a situation where the stress from Dad's brain tumor was simply too much. My final thoughts. The goal of this video is not to undermine anyone who's come forward with stories about the show, Ellen, or any of the staff. In fact, the goal of this video is just to provide an alternate perspective from someone who was a guest and got to know Ellen personally throughout that journey. What I will say, however, is the more time I spent with the production team, the more people I met who had grown disgruntled with working on the program. Ellen would choose some of her most famous staff members to appear as on-screen talent. Many of these individuals had spent over a decade working on the show with the hope of actually getting on the show themselves. When my brother and I started appearing on a number of episodes, I felt that a number of the staff members were slightly jealous of this opportunity. In the end, it was a little bit sad for us because rumors were spread by some of these staff members indicating that my brother and I may have been sharing secrets to the media. Despite our innocence being proved later, we did receive a sincere apology from some of the members, which I still value to this day. So some of the staff-related problems do resonate with me. When it comes to Ellen, I'm not absolving her for any of her mistakes, but it was not a mistake to bring me and my brother onto her show. We were lucky to meet with Ellen several times, and I even sat down with Portia whilst we were filming a couple of episodes. Each time we met, Ellen made genuine time for us. She was interested and always sent wishes to our family. Despite some of the stories you've heard, my personal experience with Ellen was truly wonderful. Perhaps the size, commercialism, and Ellen's own faults contributed slowly to what was the downfall of a really great show. So Ellen, if you are out there listening, maybe you'd want to come forward one day soon and talk about your perspective over the last 10 years. For now, I'll leave it to you to decide who is the real Ellen. And remember,
Be kind to one another. Bye.